Ruben Amorim wants to give Casemiro a new contract. Angelo Stiller is a big target for Manchester United. And talking of big chance for Sekou Kone and Shea Lacey ahead. We know AFCON is coming up. We know that Shea Lacey could be trialled with in AFCON with the absence of Mbeumo and, of course, Amad Diallo. But some games are coming up before that in which Sekou Kone and Shea Lacey, maybe even a Jim Thwaites or Jack Fletcher, could be tried out as Manchester United is set to confirm some friendlies coming up. We're going to talk about particularly the plans for Lacey and how Amorim has big plans for the star. We're going to talk about Kobbie Mainoo, his future Napoli interested. Harry Amass is doing incredibly well on loan, and there's talk of being cheery and Musa actually being looked at by Sheffield Wednesday and potentially joining him. And Rasmus Højlund does not want to return to Manchester United. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news roundup video, where if you're new to the channel, every single evening on the channel, I do a video where you get all your news in 10 minutes straight like that. And we're going to go through all the stories we have discussed. Feel free to hit that like button if you did enjoy today's video, and you're more than welcome to subscribe if you're new. Let's dive into it. So we touched upon this a bit yesterday, as a couple of sources have come out yesterday and said that United would like Casemiro to stay another year or two, but it depends on wages, Fabrizio Romano has just basically confirmed, yep, those stories are true. Ruben Amorim would love to keep Casemiro. There will be talks about extending his contract, but his current salary is too high for United. For me, I love Casemiro. He's been amazing this season. I think we conceded 5 goals when he's on the pitch, 15 when he's off the pitch, and he's been on the pitch more than off the pitch. The difference between him and Ugarte right now is crazy. I do think Ugarte is better than what we're seeing, but it's big. We need a big replacement for Casemiro. I think if you can get Elliot Anderson and Baleba, United might be willing to let Casemiro go, but if you can't get who you want in midfield, they probably want to keep him for another year. Casemiro's going to have Saudi and MLS clubs interested in him. Casemiro's been very good this season. There will be interest in him. For me, if he halves his wage, he can stay. Some people say they'd rather have Casemiro on 300 grand a week than Ugarte playing, and Casemiro has been significantly better than Ugarte, but his legs is going. He can only play once a week for 60 minutes. I love Casemiro. If we can get him to reduce his salary, it'd be nice to have him for another year at least. But it is down to him reducing his salary, which he might not if he's got big offers. And can you blame him? The World Cup is coming up this year. He might go, right, I'm done at the top level now. But it's Casemiro. He's got an elite mentality, to be fair. So we'll see. So some people are talking about Angelo Stiller as a Casemiro replacement. For me, he's a Bruno replacement. I could see Angelo Stiller and Mainoo being options for the Bruno role, and I could see Anderson and Casemiro, if he stayed, being options for the other role. Anderson and Ugarte potentially being options for the other role, for example, or Baleba. But this was said by Ben Jacobs, and a couple of sources have linked us to Stiller. Romano recently. We've been linked to Angelo Stiller a lot, and it really looks like he's high up. And that makes me think that Bruno's going to go, because he's not someone you played with Bruno. He's someone you would play in that role, I think, on the ball, because he's probably more what Amorim will eventually want in that role on the ball. But obviously we put Bruno there because he's Bruno. But Man United and have Angelo Stiller quite high in their thinking. The player is very highly appreciated by both Vivo and Wilcox, has been said by Ben Jacobs. And quite a few sources are coming out now and going, look, Man United's interest in Angelo Stiller, like, it's high. They want him. They want him. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it could be a case of Anderson and Stiller, or Baleba and Stiller in the summer, if I was going to be completely honest. And I like the player. There's questions over how he'll do in the Premier League physically, but I think technically he's immense. So let's talk about the big opportunity that could be coming up for the likes of Sekou Kone and Shea Lacey. So Manchester United are expected to announce mid-season friendlies in Saudi Arabia in the coming weeks. And this will be an opportunity for players to get minutes. I think Xerxes will get minutes, Mainoo will get minutes, a lot of the youth will get minutes. I think players like De Ligt and Casemiro will be rested. This is an opportunity to get minutes in some of the players' legs that haven't had a lot of minutes, because I look at Mainoo and I look at Xerxes, because they haven't played a lot, particularly Xerxes. When we do throw them in, they're not going to be match sharp. Xerxes didn't even have a pre-season, so this is really big for Xerxes in that sense. But also, youth players like Sekou Kone could be tried out. Now, Travis Binnen said on Sekou Kone, after the international break, we think he'll be ready to play, which is good. And there is talk of Ruben Amorim wanting to try out Sekou Kone in that midfield duo in that break, because he'll want to rest Casemiro and give Sekou Kone a run and see how he does. Because he didn't actually get those opportunities in pre-season, but he did impress in the post-season tour. But more importantly, the one player that looks closest to getting a debut is Shea Lacey, particularly with AFCON coming up. and it was said by Nathan Salt and Chris Wheeler that Amorim is taking an active role in Shea Lacey's development towards the first team. He did not participate in the match against Rochdale last week, just as a bit of a precaution, and there's a bit of pre-planning going on there to keep Lacey fit, keep Lacey available and watch him, because there's a plan to give him potentially first-team minutes. And Nathan Salt said last month that Ruben Amorim is said to be very infused by this version of Shea Lacey. The boss regularly has one-on-one discussions with Shea Lacey during training, and there is genuine internal desire to put him in the best conditions to succeed in the future. So protect him from injuries, let him play with the youth, but keep him involved with the first team and first team training. And apparently, according to Nathan Salt, Amorim treats Shea Lacey like any other first team player. No kids clubs or special treatment for being an academy player. But he talks to Shea Lacey a lot. He rates Shea Lacey highly. He's a big fan of Shea Lacey. And we do know from the Mail as well that with Mbeumo and Amass set to depart for the African Cup of Nations at the end of the year, plus Amorim's desire to play Bruno deeper, it opens up the prospect of Shea Lacey being drafted into that position. So Shea Lacey could likely be tested out in these mid-season friendlies. And obviously Second Kone could be given opportunities, and they're the two players that look like they could be thrown into the first team. You know, Shea Lacey and Second Kone, they're in the under-21s, but it's almost like they're going to jump past the under-21s into the first team. They seem the two closest to getting opportunities. Now, talking of not getting opportunities, let's talk about Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo remains on Napoli's list, who are looking for a midfielder this January. Mainoo's move depends on Manchester United, who are unwilling to let him go. If we're not going to play Mainoo, because we're not at the moment, we might as well let him go on loan. The problem is, we let Mainoo go on loan. When Casemiro and Bruno gets injured, we're thinking, what have we done? We can only really let Mainoo go on loan if we get a replacement in, but we can't guarantee that replacement minutes unless they're one, an Elliot Anderson type player, or two, there's an injury. I would love to see Mainoo play. I think Mainoo's too good to not be playing football, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Look, I think if we're not going to play Mainoo and we generally don't think he's going to get many minutes, send him out on loan for his own good. It's not fair. If we think we need him, keep him. I think Amorim will selfishly keep him in case we get an injury, and then I think he'll play if there's an injury. But I just want to see Mainoo get minutes. I don't like that he's not playing a lot at the moment. I mean, same with Xerxes. I think Xerxes is more likely to be let go of because there's Kone and there's Sesko that the first choice in that position, whereas Mainoo is the second choice in this position. But Mainoo wants Napoli. We obviously know West Ham have had interest in Mainoo. Mainoo showed interest in that. Mainoo wants out. Mainoo wants to go on loan. Mainoo doesn't want a permanent move. Mainoo doesn't want to leave for good. He just wants a loan because the World Cup's coming up. He knows he needs minutes. I think Lewis Skelly apparently has been warned today that he's going to need minutes if he wants World Cup football. There's a lot of young players in Mainoo's position, and I think if you have Europa League, there's the opportunity there. Also, the fact that Bruno is now playing deeper and he's competing with Bruno makes his role 10 times harder. But yeah, so it's a shame. Now let's talk about Harry Amass. Harry Amass will not be recalled from his loan at Sheffield Wednesday by Man United in January. Man United and Sheffield Wednesday are both delighted with how Amass's loan has gone, and both will be open to future deals between the two clubs. Amass is doing well at Sheffield Wednesday. He's happy there, even though they're bottom of the league. Things are going good between Amass and Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday happy with the relationship with United. They're looking at being cheery. Victor Musa even potentially. Maybe United could even send more players to Sheffield Wednesday on loan. And interestingly, I saw the United stand put this out. But so the Sheffield Wednesday manager even said the young man who came to Sheffield Wednesday and the young man who just left the stadium today are two different humans. They are two different players. He's really impressed lately at Sheffield Wednesday. And I think that's also what confidence can do to a young player. He's got goals. He's giving mini Luke Shaw vibes and giving mini Luke Shaw energy. And those at Sheffield Wednesday really liking Harry Amass. Those at obviously Bristol City are really liking obviously the tech. So it's good to see. It is really good to see like our young players doing well on loan. And last but not least, a lot of talk about Rasmus Højlund. Could he be brought back? Could be Sesko injury? No. Højlund's at Napoli. He's staying there for good unless Napoli have an awful season and don't buy him. Højlund does not feel like he's a United player on loan. He 100% feels like a Napoli player. The club have every intention of signing him. They have to buy him if they finish in the top four. Napoli are actually struggling a little bit this season, so you never know. But it looks like Højlund will be a Napoli player, and he will go to Napoli, and he doesn't want back at United despite rumours. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. See you next time. Bye.